Hello, and welcome to episode 44 of Sarastro's Star Wars painting series. In this episode, we're going to paint Ahsoka Tano from Fantasy Flight Games' Star Wars Imperial Assault. Ahsoka is a colourful character with some interesting patterns who will require some patience and a steady hand. Let's take a look at the painting stages. As usual, I've chosen to prime in black, followed with some zenithal highlights applied from above. We'll then apply some clean, flat base colours, which will include painting the striped patterns on the head tails. I've then chosen to apply a limited amount of shade to help define some of the details, followed with some highlights and finishing touches, which will include painting the facial details and providing a scenic base. Let's jump in with the base colours. I'm going to begin by painting the skin using Jokaero Orange, which I'm darkening slightly with a little Doombull Brown. For the areas of grey clothing, I'm using a roughly equal mix of German Grey and Warpfiend Grey, although just plain Mechanicus Standard Grey would also be fine. For the inner waist garment, I'm using Stromvermin Fur. I'm now going to use Mechanicus Standard Grey to paint all of the trims on the armour. I'll be brightening these up in a moment. Next, I'm going to use some Zandri Dust for the flat areas of the kilt. I'm also using this for the raised design on the boots. I'm now returning to the grey trims, and I'm using Celestra Grey to pick out the top surface, using mostly the edge of the brush tip. We can also use this for the hand and wrist armour, as well as the belt buckle. I'm now going to mix in a roughly equal amount of Stormhost Silver and paint the lightsaber handles. For the more purplish sections of clothing, I'm using a fairly equal mix of Naggaroth Night and Gorthor Brown. This will include the chest plate, belt, leggings, and the outer sections of the hand and wrist armour. I'm also using this for the darker sections of the headband. For the main part of the boots, I'm using an equal mix of Stormhost Silver and Loren Forest. And I'm returning to the Zandri Dust to pick out the raised strip on the back of the boots. For the sole and heel, I'm mixing some Rhinox Hide and Mechanicus Standard Grey. Finally, I'm painting the head, including the hanging Leiku, with some Ulthuan Grey, which I'll follow with some broad highlights using white. First I'm painting the whole area with the Ulthuan Grey. And then adding some white to block in some simple areas of highlight on the main upturned areas. And I'm now using some pure white. For the blue patterns, I'm using Vallejo's Flat Blue, and you'll probably want to reference some shots of the character from Star Wars Rebels whilst you do this. Finally, I'm returning to the green metallic boot colour to paint the two flat front-facing panels of the headband. We're now ready to add some shade. I'm going to create quite a dark mix, using 3 parts Nuln Oil with 2 parts Agrax Earthshade and 1 part Druchii Violet. I'm then using this to shade the waist area and the hanging panels of armour. What I'm looking for here is some nice dark lining to separate the raised and flat areas of the kilt. I'm also using this to shade the boots and the lightsaber handles. The only other area I've chosen to shade is the skin, and I'm using Fuegan Orange for that. We're now ready to add the highlights. I'm going to begin by highlighting the skin, and I'm going to use Light Ochre mixed with a little Fire Dragon Bright for my main highlight tone, which I'm going to initially mix into the base colour of Jokaero Orange and Doombull Brown. So here's my Light Ochre and Fire Dragon Bright, which I'm now adding to the original base tone in a couple of stages. I'm now using the pure highlight tone. For the upper highlights, I'm going to now mix in some white along with a little Yriel Yellow. This is my brightest tone. With the skin complete, I'm now going to reapply some Zandri Dust to the inner plates of the kilt. Here I'm taking care to paint round the faintly indented pattern. And I'm also highlighting the boots. For the boots, I'm going to push the highlights further with the addition of a little white. I'm now going to brighten up the grey trims with a reapplication of Celestra Grey. This too can be lightened with a little white. Next I'm going to highlight the grey areas by adding some white to the original German Grey and Warpfiend Grey base tone in a few stages. You'll sometimes see me using a damp brush to feather the edges of these highlights. And I'm now going to lighten the purple base tone with some Ivory. For the metallic parts of the boots, I'm reusing the original Stormhost Silver and Loren Forest mix. finally, I'm painting the belt buckle with some pure white. We're now ready to add some finishing touches. I'm now going to paint the eyes using Vallejo's Ivory, and I'm mostly using the side of the brush tip to do this. For the pupils and iris, I've chosen to mix some dark Prussian blue with some black, but you could use any dark greyish colour you like. Next I'm going to paint on the face markings with some pure white. The markings don't need to be perfectly neat, but I do want them to be as symmetrical as possible. I'm also painting the lightsabers pure white. And here I'm giving all the lights an undercoat with the white to allow the yellow and orange we'll be adding in a moment to really shine. Here on the wrists I've noticed that the panels surrounding the lights ought to be purple. I'm now painting the orange lights with a small dab of Fire Dragon Bright. And I'm using Flash Gitz Yellow for the yellow lights. Next I'm going to mix some Stormhost Silver into some white and use this to pick out the metallic studs on the belt. And I'm now using some Ulthuan Grey to paint the central diamond shape on the headband. And I'm providing a highlight of pure white. Here I'm rebasing the miniature as detailed in episode 10. And I almost forgot to paint the lips. For that, I'm mixing Doombull Brown and Naggaroth Night. And this completes Ahsoka Tano. Thank you for watching. If you're enjoying the videos, then do please let me know with a like and by subscribing to the channel. Don't forget, you can also find chapter links, a full paint list, and details of the brushes I used in the video description, along with links to the music written for the series. My very sincere thanks go to the amazing patrons who are making it possible for me to produce this work. Join me again soon as we continue painting miniatures from Star Wars Imperial Assault. Happy painting!